Hi there, welcome to Forecasting Cloud's CRM Experts in Their Own Words. I'm Chris Buchholz, your Editor-in-Chief, and with me is Natalie Petouhoff, Senior Analyst at Forrester Research. Natalie, you are a big supporter of really focusing on the service side of CRM. It's very clear that's becoming one of the, perhaps the predominant pillar these days, with the sales and marketing sides kind of maybe reaching their apex in terms of their priority in a lot of organizations. How do you see service shaking out, especially in this era of social media?
Well, I think what's happening is, so if we look at the traditional silos of marketing, sales, and service, and if that's how you define CRM, right? So sales would always get all the money, and marketing would get a little bit, and customer service would get nothing, right? And so I think what's happening is now we're actually seeing the reverse of that. So it's kind of a shock to the functional org structure. And I think really now, customer service is really the new sales and the new marketing. And I think what's happening and why we're seeing the shift is that how people get treated is what people think about a company. So it's not so much that you're selling to someone and they're upset because maybe they have buyer's remorse, or maybe you don't get a whole lot of people saying in the cloud, "Gosh, you're sending me too many emails. Stop it, knock it off." Like that isn't really enough to really make people angry, but there's a game on and you lose your cable signal, you try to use your phone and you can't get a signal, your car won't start. I mean, people are really, really frustrated. That's where the rubber meets the road. And I think what we're seeing now is, traditionally over the last 20 years, customer service has never been that good. It's never been a priority. It's a cost center, those kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
And now you see this thing called social media, right? So people say, what is that? Oh, is that Facebook? Is that what the young kids are doing? And basically, I see it as an enterprise feedback machine. And it's public. So it's one thing if you have like fighting or whatever going on inside your company walls or inside your family walls, but when the laundry's out for everyone to see, there's really nowhere to hide. And so now it's becoming public. Customers are voting with their feet.
Mm-hmm.
And so now all of a sudden customer service is, I think, finally loosening up from what I call the Rodney Dangerfield effect, which is they just weren't getting enough respect.
So how do you see social media affecting the way service is delivered? Obviously, there's been some significant steps made in that direction, but there's still ways to grow. And how are those things going to affect the bottom line for service?
Well, there's a couple things, right? So whenever there's a new thing, everybody wants to do the new thing. But my suggestion is you've got to get the basics right. When you take phone calls, that's got to be good. So what I've been doing lately is I use TweetDeck to follow, things like hashtags like pound customer service. And so I'm collecting tweets from people. So if you're out there, I might be collecting your tweet. Please tweet as much as you possibly can, because I'm collecting the data. And I'm looking at how many positive tweets I see about customer service. And actually, there have been one about Virgin America, one about Delta, and a lot about Apple. I mean, and this is not empirical, it's not like some scientific study by any means, but there's a lot about bad customer service.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think when you look at systemically, because my background is engineering, so when I look at the root cause of what people are saying, it's something that didn't get implemented in CRM correctly in the first place. So either marketing, sales, or service, so you're not getting the basics right, and now you're going to add on social media. What it's going to do is put this like giant magnifying spotlight on what you're not doing well. Here's what I know, is that it's very hard to get people to shift paradigms. What social does is put the spotlight on it, and I call this the witness factor. So what I see is, if you have the guts to monitor, right? You monitor.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you have the guts to maybe do a screen print of some tweets about your company, put that in a PowerPoint and show it to your executives, here's what happens. What? Well, they're saying what about us?
Uh-huh.
Okay, this has got to stop. You, Chris, you brought the data to me. You are now in charge, and fix this. And so all that stuff about there's no budget, we can't do this, completely melts away. Now, not only can you start social, but you can actually fix the things that are systemically wrong in your business.
That's great, because it seems like in a lot of organizations, when it comes to fixing service, what you get is a layer of fix on top of a layer of fix on top of a layer of fix, and you get this kind of miasma of processes that don't really work together anymore. They may have been thought to have fixed things when they were put in place, but now they're just sort of a Byzantine structure.
Well, it's duct taped together, right?
Yeah.
So you have islands of databases that are, don't talk to each other. And then you have the customer on the other side going, well, I want to talk to you anytime, anywhere. I want to chat, I want to email, I want to Skype, I want to whatever. And if you don't have all those channels, and so I know what customers do because I do it, right? I call up, I don't like the answer I get, I hang up, I call back, I get a different agent. I talk them into the answer that I wanted, right? I mean, and that isn't always possible. But what happens is if you don't have consistent structures underneath, the infrastructure is not consistent, the knowledge management isn't very good, it has to have natural language processing and search. I mean, why self-service doesn't work is because you can't find the answer. You have to write a transaction to the database. That transaction has to go get the information and bring it back in an answer, not documents, in an answer form.
Yeah. So,
I mean, I'm really encouraged actually because I was really, it's like, what do you write about customer service? It's terrible. The end. I'm like, okay, no, I have to say something a little bit more here. And so when I saw out of the corner of my eye, and I pay homage to marketing and PR professionals and salespeople who went down the social path first, thank God that they did, because now those of us in SCRM can really look at that. But I really think that where the rubber meets the road and a lot of the conversations around social, does it have any ROI? It's really because the thing that was really broken in companies was customer service, and it's so much that we can do to really fix that, that shining the light with social, I just see transformation every which way I look.
Are there companies in certain industries that seem ripe for this? I mean, I'm thinking, you mentioned earlier your cable goes out. Well, very few cable companies are renowned for delivering good customer service.
Right.
The health insurance industry, nobody there is renowned. Isn't there a condition in those industries where if one company gets it right, they suddenly have a competitive advantage and they can surge ahead of all their challengers?
You're a brilliant man. No, seriously, I was thinking the same thing because I have been working with health insurance companies and some of the cable companies. And so the barrier to entry, I think, for the cable industry is this. Cable industry grew up across the United States in pockets, in markets, right? And so you have a local market here and a local market there, and so you have local market call centers and websites. Even sometimes the websites are not a national website, it's like this market and that market. And so you have all these separate, and then you have some central call center somewhere, and maybe you have some offshore stuff. So when I call in as a customer, I don't know where I'm calling. I don't know if I'm calling the local market, I don't know if I'm calling overseas, and I don't know if I'm calling. So because the databases are separate, you can get a whole bunch of different answers, or you can get people who don't know the answers, right? Because it isn't one central knowledge repository. So I think the first step, if someone was willing to do it, would be to fix the infrastructure.
Yeah.
The second step would really be to use social media as part of how you do business. Now, I think you're absolutely right. The first company that does that, who actually invests in their customers and that experience, why would you go anywhere else? You wouldn't.
Right.
Right? Because you and I as consumers, we have really busy lives. We really have no more time to waste or to try something new, right? There's that barrier to switch because the devil you know is better than the devil you don't, that whole thing. I really want one cell phone provider, one cable provider, one place to buy shoes. I don't want to go everywhere. I don't have time. I just want to be able to go and do what I want to do and know it's going to be there and know if I'm in trouble, I'm going to be helped, right? And so I'm one of those consumers, and I think I'm pretty typical. Even though I'm in technology, I want one solution. You want to be that provider? I'm there for life.
Right.
It's that simple. No customers, no business. Come on, people.